Part of me doesn't want to record a video about Ophelia, though she's extremely important, because there's a question that includes Ophelia on your midterm. What you should not do, is simply regurgitate material from this lecture into your take-home exam answer. Let me say this right now. Do not simply regurgitate things I say into your essay on the take-home exam. I won't give you points for that. Can I make it clearer? You have to have ideas about Ophelia, not simply tell me my ideas, because I know my ideas. When you tell me things that I've told you, they seem overly familiar to me. I know you're used to educational context where you're rewarded for repeating back what the teacher said. We're training you to be literary critics, not parrots. So if you think that you can't possibly write an essay that includes Ophelia, but you're going to write the essay that includes Ophelia, but you can't possibly do it without repeating back what I say, just don't watch this video. Don't move on to the next one. Talk about the grave. Go look at the grave diggers. Come on. Okay. As I said in the to be or not to be video, what I do is mostly tell you things that people have said before, because that's just getting up to speed, and occasionally I'm going to model arguments I've made myself elsewhere in my own scholarship. I've written on Ophelia. I'm going to talk a little bit about things I say about people say about Ophelia, then what I say about Ophelia. For that, if you're looking for a way into Ophelia, one thing to look for is her association with flowers. Go through and look at all the times the word violets comes up next to Ophelia. They're associated with virginity. Who describes her like a violet or like violets? Who associates her with violets? Why does that keep happening? And of course, there's the famous flower passage in her mad scenes where she's handing out flowers for significance. We actually don't know. Your stage directions might tell you who she's handing which flower to, but your editor's just guessing. Every editor guesses differently. Ophelia is a relatively small part, but crucial. Let me deviate from what people usually say she's passive. She's not, partly because of the rise of Freud's theory about this play, which makes Hamlet sexually attracted to his mother, but in denial about it. Ophelia's been sidelined for 100 years or so, because if all that sexual energy is going towards the queen, then it seems strange to, like, well, what is Ophelia doing here except being a kind of someone on whom Hamlet works out his feelings about his mother, rather than someone upon whom Hamlet has primary feelings. Let me point out a couple things. Ophelia is structurally similar to Hamlet in lots of ways. This is a play with three different male Avengers, three different sons out for revenge. Hamlet, Laertes, and Fortinbras, all looking in various ways to get some get back for the death of their own fathers. And it's normal to kind of compare Hamlet to those other two male, heavily armed characters. Hamlet and Ophelia have a lot in common. It's like they were made for each other. Because here's the thing, Shakespeare made them for each other. They are both, and this is not my contribution, feminist scholars have pointed out how in Act 4, when Hamlet has gone off to England and met pirates, etc., Ophelia takes over a version of Hamlet's job. Suddenly she's the one who's walking around mad. She's the one unnerving a royal. She messes with the queen, where the king is mostly unsettled by Hamlet. She, instead of riddling, she's singing these songs, but still there's this mysterious outflux of language, and she is the bad conscience of the court of Elsinore, the way Hamlet has been. She takes over Hamlet's gig when he's out of town. That is clearly what happens. I would also point to another structural, and also here, I would add this. If two characters are alike, we should talk about the two who both go mad. There are two insane characters. They're a couple. That's worth thinking about. Theories about why Hamlet is mad, or whether he's mad or how mad he is, tend to get taken out of the conversation about why is Ophelia mad. I would argue you should put those together. If there are two mad characters, they're not like, it's not like Shakespeare decided to write a story about a mad character and accidentally one of the supporting characters went crazy on him. No, Shakespeare also decided two mad characters who are a romantic couple, here they are. Um, they're mad for similar reasons. I would point to a structural parallel in Act 1. Act 1, Scene 3, where Ophelia gets scolded and warned and lectured by her brother, and then lectured by her father, is immediately, and then obeys him, is then immediately followed by two scenes in which, or a running scene, a pair of scenes which run into each other, in which Hamlet has his own conversation with the ghost. I would point out that these are structurally parallel. The child, the adult child, is given lengthy instructions by an extremely long-winded parent who then changes the course of their career. The ghost is long-winded because he's long-winded. The Polonius is long-winded because he's Polonius. Enormous advice. Both of these, and I would point out too, both of these fathers are characters you might not want to listen to. Polonius, because he is transparently ridiculous and comic, he is laughable. And the ghost, because he is damnable. He told you he came from purgatory. He told you he's being punished for his sins, and now he has a mortal sin he wants you to commit. Maybe you shouldn't be in a rush. Maybe you shouldn't listen to ghosts who tell you they come from places that are not heaven. But both Ophelia and Hamlet, in back-to-back scenes, are obedient children to long-winded fathers whose instructions should not be trusted. Now, let me add this. And this is something I have contributed in my tiny way, one of my little specks on the huge pile of Hamlet criticism. Ophelia is unique. Ophelia is unique among the female characters in Shakespeare. When Polonius tells her not to see Hamlet anymore, she says yes. If we're taking Ophelia as a normal person, that's a normal thing to do, and people have not paid any attention to this. If Hamlet is one of the first Shakespeare plays you've read, you also don't see that as unusual, right? The father says, don't see that boy, and so the daughter says, okay, I won't see that boy. But Ophelia is not a real person. She is a character in a Shakespeare play. When a daughter in a Shakespeare play, and in most other plays from this era, is told by her father not to see that boy, what always happens is she goes off and sees that boy. Always. If you are a father in a Shakespeare play, and you tell your daughter not to see that boy, hire the DJ, put a deposit on the caterer, give a deposit to the caterer, she's getting married. That's it. Or she's sleeping with him in the woods tonight. One of those things. If you tell her not to sleep with that boy, you guarantee she'll sleep with him. This is a rule. It is a convention. It is a norm. It always happens. Ophelia, breaking that normal pattern, is behaving like a real person, but also behaving radically unlike any other daughter anywhere in Shakespeare. It's the equivalent of being her, if she were like a detective in a cop show and the captain called her into the office and said, Ophelia, you're too close to this case, I'm taking you off. And she said, okay, and didn't investigate the case anymore. That's what's happening. You know how it works. When they take you off the case, and then the detective just goes and works the case like time and a half. Right? It breaks the normal pattern. It's like, oh no, we're gonna be in a car chase, but oh, we don't want to exceed the speed limit. We might endanger other drivers. That never happens. Ophelia does the thing that no dramatic daughter, no theatrical daughter in Shakespeare ever does. She denies her own romantic and erotic desires for her chosen boy. This is radical. It is strange. You might say, hey, isn't that rule mostly for comedy? Well, it happens in tragedy too. Capulet, Brabantio, but also her father's right out of comedy. He might as well be in a comedy, except he gets killed. Haha. Ophelia is radically strange. She is unique in Shakespeare drama in not doing this. So it gets weird to the point where by Act 2 and 3, she's helping her father spy on her lover. Helping your father trick your lover is not how it goes. You're supposed to help your boyfriend trick your father. Doing it the other way, it's wrong. I mean morally wrong, I mean generically wrong. What play do you think we're in? This is strange. It is a denial of her basic ambitions in life, just as Hamlet is asked in the next scene to put aside his ambitions to live his life independently and maybe become king and marry Ophelia in order to get revenge for his dead father. Ophelia and Hamlet together are obedient children who are going to put aside their own life goals and indeed their own continued life in order to do what their father wants, even when their father isn't making 100% good sense.